Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Game Brothers podcast. This is a weekly podcast all about board games and video games, and this is our weekly episode number 43. My name is David. I'm in blue today. You could say I might be I'm a jinxie. So, Devin, does that make you Vi?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the streamer.
Oh, I don't know that guy. Is it a girl? I don't know who Jinxie.
I see.
I think a Jinxie is on Arcane, like the people that worship Jinx.
Okay, I was wondering why you added a Y. Yeah. I get it now.
Yep.
Yeah, you're Jinx and I'm the same as I always look. Mm-hmm. In black.
Yeah.
And warm.
And double Brixton today. You got the Brixton on the shirt, Brixton on the hat. You got some Brixton socks, pants.
You know, it'd be nice if I had no logos. But
yeah, I gotta hide my little one. You can't really even see. No, it's yeah, another week, Devin. We're here.
It is 43 weeks down somehow. I know you're gonna ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing fantastic.
Wow.
Like always. Life's good. Life's interesting. Life is hard, but I think you can convince yourself that it's just always good and unique and beautiful.
That's true. I think you can convince yourself that it's harder than it really is. But you can also convince yourself it's easier than it is. So
I do both.
Yeah, you can convince yourself of a lot of things. Well, good. I'm glad that life is going well. It's freezing cold. In kind of weird weather news here in Utah, we haven't had snow really at all, like all winter, except for one storm, I think, a couple weeks ago, which is really weird. At this point of the year, we've usually got a lot, but when it snows, it's a lot warmer. Like, I feel like the cloud cover from the snow like brings the temperature up like 10 degrees. Very, very cold out there.
So since it hasn't been snowing, it's been very freezing.
Yeah,
like almost zero. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a little dramatic, but it's been under 10.
Yeah, hey. Under 10 and 0, they're almost the same.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. Not much else new going on, though, in our frozen world. We got a new president of America. He's officially, I almost said indoctrinated. That's not the right word. Inaugurated.
Inaugurated. Don't know what it means, but we know the term.
Yeah. He had his inauguration, gave a speech. Saw some funny things from that. We got Elon Musk doing some weird arm signals. I'm sure he didn't mean anything weird by, but definitely looked like a Heil Hitler a little bit. But yeah, wish them all the best, no matter what way you politically lean. I think we all wish the best for the leaders of the country for the next 4 years. So
yes, sir.
Yeah, other than that, not a lot new, Devin. I've watched a few shows, so I thought maybe we'd pull them up here in the beginning that we could like officially call like the Super Movie Brothers segment.
We do start with movies almost every time.
We usually do. I don't know where else to fit them, and they're fun to talk about. So I watched a couple things. I bought The Boy and the Heron. That's the latest Studio Ghibli movie. I say Ghibli.
You're going to get roasted in the comments.
I know. I think it is officially Ghibli. But I feel like nobody knew that until the internet happened. And they were like, oh, yeah, it's Ghibli.
Dude, I said it wrong one time, and I don't remember who, but they made me feel like I was the dumbest person.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was like, I will see myself out.
Funny. I feel like there are... I feel like people accept both. It's kind of like...
Porsche.
Yeah,
and Porsche.
They're just like, you say however you want. Just give us the money for the car.
Yeah, imagine. That'd be nice.
Yeah. So I think that's how them over in Japan... in Studio Ghibli. I think that's how they feel. But anyways, watch The Boy and the Heron. It's good. It's not my favorite Ghibli movie, but it was fun. It's about a boy. It's kind of a sad one. I mean, it's not uber sad. Some of the other movies they've made are sadder. But in the first 2 minutes of the movie, his mom dies. And then time jumps a few years. And he's trying to figure out how to deal with his life and that kind of grief. And then he moves into this new place because his dad gets remarried. I don't know if they're married actually, but they moved in together. And at this new place they live, which is this huge estate with a huge house and a castle off in the bushes and like a lake and all this stuff. There's this crazy bird, the gray heron. And for some reason that thing can talk, tells him his mom's not dead and that he can save her. So he goes kind of on an adventure with this bird. Robert Pattinson plays the bird. At least in the English dub, which is what I watched. They get some big names in Ghibli movies. Christian Bale is the dad. He's been in quite a few. He was in Howl's Moving Castle. Florence Pugh is one of the characters. So is Gemma Chan, I think her name. She's like the rich sister from Crazy Rich Asians. The tall one.
I liked that movie, but I don't remember the actors that well.
Who else is in there? You got, the head parakeet. I think they call him the Parakeet King. He's, what's his name? Dave Bautista. And they got Willem Dafoe in there for a minute too. And I feel like there's a couple other big names. They get the big names because they're a prestigious studio. But anyways, it's a fun movie. Watched it with my kids. It's a tad violent. At one point, the kid hits himself in the head with a rock.
Purposefully?
Yeah. So I had to kind of explain self-harm for a minute. And
oh, wow.
That was a fun discussion to have with a 7 and 5-year-old. But other than that moment, it wasn't bad. But yeah, good movie. Liked it quite a bit. Princess Mononoke is still my favorite of theirs, but I like quite a bit. Spirited Away is great. Totoro is one of my favorites too. That first one came out 2 years before I was born, 1988.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were making them a long time ago.
Crazy.
That director, I think his name is Hayao Miyazaki. He's been making movies for a long time. So yeah, Boy and the Heron is good. I bought it on Prime, Devin, so you can watch it if you feel so inclined. Kind of long. It's like 2 hours long. Trying to see what else. I mean, the animation is beautiful. Very, very pretty. And I liked parts of it. He kind of like goes on this adventure to try and save his mom, like I already mentioned, and it has some heartwarming moments during that adventure. Also very odd and obscure. There's like that gray heron has like a human inside of him, and that he folds his head heron mouth back all the way, and the human head pops out in the middle. Then there's some weird creatures in there like usual, but kind of allegory metaphor stuff going on. It was fun. Watched that, and then other than that, we'll talk a little bit more about Netflix later in the show. But my subscription to Netflix runs out in 3 days. I've been binging Arcane. I finished the first season, and I'm about halfway through with the second season. Really?
Do you see at this point why we like Jinx so much?
Yeah, I think she's really cool. She's very frustrating in the first season, where you're just like, I don't want to have any spoilers just in case anyone's not watched it, because we have millions of listeners, you know.
Right.
I'm at the point where they discover this big creature that's important to them.
Yes.
And again, it's like halfway through the second season, and for the whole time up to that point, basically, other than like the prelude, like her and Vi are kind of like hate each other, and they're trying to like figure out if like they're ever going to be friends again or whatever. And she's frustrating during that part, kind of. But, you know, she's gone through a lot of trauma and has crazy grief and PTSD and stuff. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, very cool characters. Very beautiful animation. I have a few thoughts about it. First off, I think I already mentioned the animation's great. I think all of the characters are cool. I don't think there's any that I don't really like. There's some that I don't love as some that you're not rooting for, I guess. But they're like all cool characters. They all have they're not all black and white characters, very gray. Every character has like good parts and bad parts themselves. So I like that kind of character building as well. All the voice acting done very, very, very well. I'm at the point where I haven't finished the show yet, so I can't make a verdict on this, but I'm confused a little bit on what the purpose of the show is. It's very fun, very beautiful. You want like these two kind of long lost sisters to reconnect, and for this like city to not self-destruct, kind of, as they figure out what they're going to do with magic and stuff. It does seem a little bit like the show is kind of like a highlights and a commercial for all of the cool characters from League of Legends. I don't know if that's true, because I've never played League of Legends. I don't know anything about them. I've never played, don't know any. Maybe all the characters in Arcane are not even in League of Legends. But I have to imagine they are.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't know.
You've got like the girl with the big robot arms. The one that's really into gadgetry with the long braids. You've got the guy that can control this weird beast with scars down his face. The guy that's messed with too much with magic and has taken over his whole body. And it seems like, maybe I'm wrong, and it'll wrap up in a nice pretty bow at the end of the second season. But it does seem like they're like, we have really cool characters that we've made for League of Legends. You know, just like Overwatch would maybe think, we have cool characters from Overwatch. Let's connect all of these characters together and write some story that connects them together in a cool way. But the story wasn't the starting point. The characters were the starting point, and the show is just kind of a way to say, like, he's cool, isn't he? She's cool, isn't she? He's cool, isn't he? Play as them in the game. Does that make sense?
I think so.
I don't know that I care, because it's like very well made, and you can tell it's very expensive, and they put a lot of money and good acting into it. But as I get closer to the end, and I know there's not going to be a third season, like, what is I'm like, I don't feel like it can wrap up fully, because it has moved a little bit, but not a lot, as far as like the overarching story. So I'm wondering if like it's going to end with like a not satisfying ending. And then if it does that, I'm like, okay, it does seem like this is just kind of a commercial for the game. But I might be totally in the wrong here, because I know it's very well loved. It has like a 9 on IMDb. Like, people
Which
love
is outrageous.
People love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very cool. I really like it too. I want it to have its Breaking Bad season 5 and tie it all up in like the most harrowing and cool way ever, where I feel like it's having really cool moments and cool fights. Really like how they tie cool music into the fights too. Other than Imagine Dragons, not a huge fan of them. But the rest of the music, I feel like, is really cool in there. So, anyways, that was a lot of thoughts about Arcane. Mostly extremely positive. Just that one nitpick. I'm like, I don't know. They just like introduced the guy last episode that can kind of control that beast. I don't even know if he can. He just like cut his hand to put the trail of blood so the beast would come. I'm like, you seem like a character I don't even know who you are. Seem like someone from the game they wanted to shove in. But maybe I'm making an assumption, and that's not true at all. Devin, you've seen the show.
I have. Mm-hmm.
How many thoughts do you have on it? You haven't seen it for a little bit. I'm very fresh, having just watched some last night. So,
I just thought it was super pretty
Very
and
pretty.
fun. And with how much it is loved, I think they could do a lot more with this universe,
yeah.
if you'll call it a universe.
I'm surprised they're not doing a third season.
Yeah. We'll have to talk about it a little bit next week if you
After
finish it.
Yeah. Because I was just curious I'm like probably halfway through the second season, and a couple episodes back, I was like, I feel like this isn't moving fast enough to get to an ending. And so I just Googled, is there going to be a season 3 of Arcane? And it said, no, they have confirmed there's going to be no more seasons. And I was like, wow, that seems crazy. Again, maybe it does wrap up beautifully. I don't know. But that's kind of my experience with Arcane. Lots of animated stuff for me this week.
Mm-hmm.
But really, like, the best of the best. Boy and the Blue Heron. Just beautiful hand-drawn animation. Love it. And Arcane is more computer-generated, but also very pretty. Just crazy. So, anyways, that's all the TV and movies from my side, Devin. Have you watched anything you want to include here on the Super Movie Brothers podcast?
Yeah. On the Super Movie Brothers, side of things, I watched Gladiator 2. It just dropped
Love
on
the first one.
Paramount Plus. You know, to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen the first one.
Oh, man.
I know who's in it.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix and plays the villain. Man, it's so good. You need to watch that stat. If you haven't seen that.
It was right next to it, but I was like, if there's a newer one, I'm clicking on that one.
I bet once you watch that first one, you're going to be like, oh, this is way better. But maybe not.
But I enjoyed it. Big names. Really big names in that movie. And it was pretty touching and intense. And
yeah.
I don't know, you said people weren't loving it, but I was thoroughly hooked.
Okay.
It kept me up. It's like, I can't go to sleep till I finish this.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. I also watched a ghost story type movie with Demi Moore called Half Light. She's an author. Is a successful author. She's done well. And she's like trying to write more.
Okay.
So she has something bad happens in her life. And so she's like, I need to go to a secluded place somewhere that looks like Ireland or something. And she's in a house and she's like seeing her kid. And then some lady who is like a medium or something is like, your boy was waiting for you on the swings. And she's like, what? My boy's dead. This is crazy. I don't know what to think about anything. And then you think you know where it's going, and it ends up being something completely different, which I appreciated greatly. Yeah. I still had a question at the end. I was like, I don't understand this part, but it was fun. I don't even know when the movie was made. I'm going to guess like 2002. You know? Okay. But I like that time period of movies. Really, really weird, you know, like Italian Job, and I don't even know when Italian Job came out, but
it's probably around then.
It's a weird time for movies. Like, but yeah.
I feel like it's before like they figured out CGI a lot. So sometimes things like look a little goofy too, but a lot of good movies came out at that time though.
Yeah, they did. Jason Bourne.
Yeah, love the Bourne trilogy.
Those are fantastic. Let me think. What else is going on in my life? Oh, I had a weird thing. So like 2 months ago, in my streaming room, we had to route a Ethernet cable from upstairs around the house into the basement.
Right.
And one day I came into my room and there's this big spider web right where the Ethernet cable goes out of the house. And I look in there and it looks just like a mini tarantula.
Wow.
But it's just like a big jumping spider.
Okay.
And he was cool. And I was like, I don't know what to do with you.
Wow.
And so I kind of pushed on the web and he's like, not today. He runs out of there, hooks a web, Spider-Man style, behind him as he jumps off of a 4-foot ledge and zip lines down to the floor. And then I'm just like looking at him. I wasn't trying to kill him or anything.
Wow.
And so I have a flashlight and he's just scared, acting dead as I shine the light on him. And I'm like, I'm just going to let you live in here. So I did. And like 2 weeks ago, he's just on my bed. I was like, what the? No way, you're still alive? This is crazy. And you never left my room. Or you did and you realized my room is cool. And you came back. And so we put him in like a jar and played with him for a minute and like put pencils by him. And he like is very curious. So like lift his 2 front legs up and touch what you put in front of him. And then just jump on it. He's very comfortable around people. And then to end the story in a sad way, we put him in a freezing cold garage and he's probably perished. But
like it was a little dark all of a sudden.
Yeah, for a second I was like, I'm keeping you. But I just like, I'm not going to be able to feed you anything. I can't take on that task right now. No time for pets for me. I got too much going on.
Jumping spiders are like the only kind of spider that are like halfway cute and you're like not afraid of them. Doesn't seem like they want to like hurt you.
I almost held it in my hand. I couldn't get myself to.
They do move
like, if you
very
bite me,
fast.
I'm gonna freak out.
Yeah. But yeah, they are cool. Have you seen like the colorful ones and they'll do like that dance with those front legs? Like,
that's what he was. He was doing stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. Very curious. That's kind of a cool creature.
Yeah. So you got a new pet.
Yeah, for a moment.
You did, and then you cryo-froze him.
Yeah. Once he unfreezes, we'll bring him back in.
Yeah, he'll be alive with Walt Disney in 1,000 years, but we'll all be gone.
He'll always remember me, though.
That's cool. Cool, Devin. Well, I think that's it for the intro here. So we're just going to hop right into the show. This is a weekly podcast all about board games and video games, like I mentioned at the top. This is episode number 43. We do an episode every single week. And we talk about lots of fun stuff. The games that we are playing mostly, and the games that are interesting to us. There are so many games nowadays, both in board games and video games. There's no way we can cover every bit of news about everything that's released or announced. But if it's interesting to us, we like talking about it, because then maybe you will discover some new game or something. So that's kind of the goal here. You can follow us on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And if you want to help support the show, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/supergamebrothers, where you can get the episodes 3 days early, right into the show. We'll answer your inquiries on the show. You can get your name in the credits and all kinds of other goodies as well. So please check us out over there. Okay, jumping into our first segment, which is always new games to subscription services, just so you know what is going on. If you have PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass or Nintendo Switch Online or lots of other things. So this first one here is Game Pass Wave 2 for January was just announced. And there's quite a few good games in here, to be honest. In my opinion, you can kind of see the graphic there with the highlights. And so we'll just scroll through them and give you kind of our picks. Available today, this is definitely one of David's picks. Lonely Mountains Snow Riders. This game, like it says here, is the snowy follow-up to Lonely Mountains Downhill, which is a mountain biking game where you're going down all of these different trails down a mountain and trying to complete segments without crashing. And you can also set times on the leaderboard. In this one, I think you can also play co-op, work your way down the slopes as a group, it says. So I'm very excited about that one. I don't have Game Pass, so I won't be able to play it on here day one, but if you do, check that out. On the 22nd, which I think has passed. What's today, Devin? Is it the 23rd? No, today is the 22nd. That's today. Flock is a multiplayer co-op game about the joy of flight and collecting adorable flying creatures. There's not a picture here, but check out Flock. That one's today. Gigantic Rampage Edition. This is a premium definitive release of the original 5v5 MOBA. I've never played a MOBA. If I was going to play one, though, just again going back to our conversation about Arcane, League of Legends, I would probably try that one. Just again, assuming that Vi and Jinx and Vander and all these characters are in that game. I don't know if they even are, but I've never heard of Gigantic, but maybe it's great. So 5v5 MOBA hero shooter. So this one's a little bit different in that I guess it's a MOBA mixed kind of with Overwatch. Kanutsugami, Path of the Goddess. This game was actually pretty popular late last year. So that one is also on Game Pass. Magical Delicacy. I don't know what you are. A wholesome pixel art platformer. Chia, or Tachia. This one was on PlayStation Plus, I think, last year. But it's kind of an open world game where you play as this character named Tachia on this island, and you're exploring, meeting people, and yeah, it's pretty fun. I played a little bit of it. Next one I highly recommend if you like puzzle games, The Case of the Golden Idol. You have to solve 15 different cases about how somebody died, generally. And it's very, very kind of intense and in-depth with the deduction. You have to remember people's names and what kind of clothing they're wearing. Why would they be here? Why is this note in this room? If it's in this room, whose room does that mean this is? And if this is their room, why would they be here?
This is the game you just played.
Yeah, I didn't quite finish it yet, but it is on Game Pass now. It's a very good puzzle game. Starbound, I don't know what you are, but you are create your own story. There's no wrong way to play. So there you go. Uncover greater galactic mysteries in the process and save the universe from the forces that destroyed your home. No idea what that's like. It sounds like No Man's Sky, but not really. Eternal Strands. available on day one on the 28th. It says it's a debut fantasy title from Yellow Brick Games. Kind of a in vogue name right now. Yellow Brick Road, Yellow Brick Games, Wicked, I don't know. You can fight epic towering creatures while blending magical abilities with an arsenal of powerful weapons. Orcs Must Die Death Trap is the next one, available on day one. We just talked about Orcs Must Die a couple weeks ago, but I think it was Orcs Must Die 2 or 3, yeah. Shady Part of Me is an okay little puzzle game. I've played a little bit of that one. Sniper Elite Resistance, available on day one on January 30th. A lot of day one games here. And same with Citizen Sleeper 2, Starward Vector. So, oh, and there's actually more here. Far Cry New Dawn on February 4th. And then that's it, other than some DLC updates. So, lots of games up there. I'm going to scroll back up to the picture. My pick is going to be, I'm going to give myself 2 because I'm a cheater. But Case of the Golden Idol and Lonely Mountains Snow Riders there. Devin, which one of those would you play? You're going to go with Tachia?
Tachia sounds like Tachanka's sister. Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Lonely Mountain Snow Riders, maybe.
Yeah. None of these really look like Devin games, to be honest. I think you might... Yeah, I don't know if you would like any of these. Maybe you would. There you go. We'll go with that. All right, so that is all of the games coming to Game Pass in the coming couple of weeks. There is one free game on the Epic Game Store, like always, and it is called Behind the Frame, The Finest Scenery. And it says, guide your brushstrokes and solve a variety of puzzles to help an aspiring artist complete her masterpiece. Has some cool looking artistic screenshots. I don't know anything else about it though, but it's going to be free tomorrow. Add it to your library. Maybe you'll want to play it one day. Devin, I think that's all the games included. New games added to subscription services. So, yeah. Now, next section here, going back to our faces just for a minute, we are going to talk about the games we've been playing. I've been playing a few different things, Devin. Just really quickly, I did finish, not that one. I finished Arranger, a role puzzling adventure, which I liked quite a bit. I think the story's kind of weird, but it was a very cute game, and I really was just in it for the slide puzzle stuff and the awesome art. Is the artist that did the art in Braid was the artist for this game. Very, very pretty. And yeah, I finished it, which was a good feeling because I've been bad at finishing games lately. And yeah, like I mentioned, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. It probably took me 10 hours to beat it. Some of the puzzles there at the end are brutally hard. Took me a while to figure some of them out. You usually know what you need to do. It's just, okay, I know what I need to do, but how do I get the pieces where I need them? That's the puzzle here with the sliding of the blocks around. But, enjoyed that one. Then I played a little bit more of Astrobot. I don't know that I have much else to say about it. I did finish the third world, I think.
Had you not beat it?
I haven't beat it yet. My kids both have.
Oh.
So I've seen some of the later levels, but I'm just trying to finish it up myself and hopefully get the platinum trophy. But I'm a little ways away. I finished the third world. I think the snake is the boss of that world. So I finished the snake, and that's the level after that is where you play as Nathan Drake. And it's still just super, super, super fun. Excellent platforming game, but you have to be into platforming or else probably won't love it.
This is the one I'm excited to hear about.
And then this one, it actually just came out this morning. So I've only played about 20 minutes. But I did start it and just got through like the tutorial and the very easy tutorial boss. That's Ender Magnolia. This is the sequel of sorts to Ender Lilies, which is one of my favorite 2D Metroidvania games. The shtick with this one is that your character doesn't actually do any attacking, but you are able to find different like spirits through your journey, and then you can equip like any 4 of them that you want to the 4 face buttons, or except for X, I guess, to square, triangle, circle, and I think R1. And they will all do different things, like a regular slash attack or tons of different attacks. So your character that you move isn't like incredibly useful or agile or anything, but all of these spirits that kind of attack, once you push that button, they pop into view and do an attack. It's a cool looking vibe because of that. The art's very, very pretty. I've only played a few minutes, but very pumped to get into this one more. The biggest difference I noticed immediately is the map is a lot cooler. It's not just a bunch of rectangles like it was on the first one. It actually kind of does a mini display, and the rooms change color based on where you've been, and it keeps a trail of like where you were last running. So it's really easy to like find your way along the map, and it's just prettier to look at, which was one of my main complaints with the first game. So it's got excellent reviews. I think it's got like a 90 on OpenCritic. It only had like 12 reviews at the time, but I'm very pumped to see this one through, because there's another Metroidvania coming out next week that I want to play as well. So I'm gonna have to plow. Well, I'm not gonna plow through them. I don't have to play them on any schedule, but I'm excited to play that one after I finish this one. So only played a few minutes, but this one is next up in the hopper.
It looks awesome
for me.
I feel like I would like this.
Yeah, it's definitely got that gothic Devin vibe.
Yes,
because you're such a goth.
Oh
in
yeah,
your black sweater. But that's it for me, Devin, for video games this week.
Oh man, I haven't really been playing anything. I hit GC2 in Rocket League.
Hey, that's quite an accomplishment.
I've done it before, so second time of the same accomplishment wasn't as sweet as the first time.
You ever been to GC3?
No, and I don't think I ever will.
Because is it GC2, GC3, and then Supersonic or whatever it's called?
Yeah, and it just gets ridiculous at those levels.
It does,
to be honest. But no, haven't been video gaming too much.
It's all good.
Yeah,
I played a little bit extra for the two of us, so
yes,
no worries. All right, for board games, Devin, we got a smorgasbord here.
We got a bunch. We had a little bit we had ourselves a little date night. We didn't talk about that in the beginning, but
yeah,
it was fun. We played a bunch of games.
We did. We played a lot of them. So we're going to go through these kind of quickly. I wanted to get your thoughts mostly on them because I had played all of them except for one before. I guess really quickly, I'll just go over one other game. You actually played this one too, but I did play another match of Kelp. Played it with my wife. She played as the shark. I played as the octopus, so I've still only played as the octopus to this point. She thought the shark sounded a little bit simpler, and so that's the one she went with.
That's exactly why I played the shark.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
And I won this time. I was able to eat the 4th octopus food. But she was close. She was chasing me all over the place. I was getting very stressed. I played better this time. When I played with you, I accidentally trashed both of my shuffle cards.
Right.
So I couldn't shuffle and hide myself very well. And I made a couple mistakes when I was playing with you. There's this one card called Fast Learning that the octopus has. And the first couple times I used it, I know this because when I edited our playthrough, I was like, oh, duh, David, you're such an idiot. Because I forgot to do something. You get to learn 2 cards or blocks. And if you learn a card, you can put that card on top of your draw pile, which can help you get that food card out way quicker. So that helped me a little bit. Get some food a little bit faster. But it was close. I think the next turn, Lacey probably would have caught me. So it was a fun play. I'm excited to play on the dark side of the board because it's a bit different with the values that the shark needs. They're not like all symmetrical, like with the corners and the center. It's like really mixed up. And with those expansions that we showed. If you want to check out a playthrough of this, we did one on my Gaming Top Down YouTube channel. And I actually had a second camera set up behind us so you can see my octopus blocks, even though Devin, Mr. Sharkman, could not. So played another game of that. Still really like it. It's excellent. Don't have anything bad to say about it at this point. Still don't hate the confrontation rock, paper, scissors thing at the end. I don't think it hurts the game at all. So yeah, that's Kelp. And then other than that, we had a game night and we played a lot of games. So we're going to go through those real quick. This first one is the one that I hadn't played. You can buy it at Target or Walmart. I think it's a pretty popular card game. It's called 5 Crowns. And it reminded me a lot of Phase 10. It's different in that you don't have to go after a specific thing each round. Like it's not 2 sets of 3 or whatever. Your goal is just to be able to lay down all your cards on your turn. And if you do, then you go out. And then everybody else gets a ton of points. So I liked that. There's also a rotating wild card each round. The first round it's a 3. Then it kind of rotates all the way up to the king. So yeah, I liked it better than Phase 10. I don't think it's like amazing, but it was a fun time. I would play it again. And again, just because of the time investment, I would definitely recommend it over Phase 10. It was like 45 minutes instead of, 2-3 hours. Like Phase 10 can be brutal. But anyways, played that one. Had you played that one before, Devin?
I had not, no, and for some reason I could not understand it at first, but then once I did, it was simple in a way, but as the rounds went by, it got more and more complex because you would have so many cards.
So many cards, yeah.
I couldn't get it through my head.
Mm-hmm. The one thing that does make this one harder than Phase 10 is when you're making a run, they all have to be the same suit, which made it really tricky to get runs. Because in a lot of games, you don't. They could be different suits, so you have more options. But yeah, that's 5 Crowns. It is a good low card game. Again, I think you can get it for like $10 at Walmart or Target if you so wanted. Played a match or two, I think maybe just one, of Drop It. This game reminds me of Plinko for some reason. It's not really like Plinko, but you drop pieces down inside this contraption that stands up. Trying to find a good picture here. Just see, we'll just use this one from the back of the box. And if your piece lands and stops moving on a piece of the same color or the same shape or one of the border sides of the same color, then that piece will score you nothing. But so you're trying to steer clear of those things. And if it stops and doesn't violate one of those things, then you get a number of points equal to how high it is and equal to any bonus circles that it might be touching. So very simple game. You just drop stuff in there. But even though it's simple, this one's usually been a hit with anyone that we've played it with.
Yeah, I really like it. A little less thinking sometimes is nice.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. As you get further up there, though, it can get a little bit tricky where no matter what piece you think you're going to drop, there's always something that you have to try to avoid. And it can be hard to avoid them all sometimes. So, played Drop It. That one I don't think will leave the collection anytime soon. It's just, yeah, like I mentioned, anyone can play it. This next one is also dexterity based, but it's a bit trickier. It's called Men at Work. And it's probably my favorite kind of Jenga-like game. You are putting these construction workers out. Let's see if I can find a good picture here. Here's one. On this construction site. And on every turn you flip over a card and you either have to place a new girder, one of these big beams, onto the construction site, or you have to place a worker. And then I think the backside of the other card will tell you if that worker has to have like a brick or a small beam, or what color girder, if that girder has to be resting on one of the worker's arms or whatever. And if you cause anything to fall off the construction site, then you lose one of your safety certificates and your turn ends. So you're trying to not lose those 3 points from your safety certificates, and then get some other points from being kind of the employee of the day as well. Really fun, very hard. It's a very tricky stacking game. Those bricks and the little beams that go on the workers' arms are very, very hard to get to balance. But I don't know, once I've practiced a little bit with it, I think you do improve slightly. There's like little notches on the guy's arms. But Devin, you've played this one a few times.
I have, yeah. It's super fun. If you're shaky, it's probably not so fun for you.
It is one that is bad for shaky hands, but I have very shaky hands, and I think you could figure it out even if you do. So that one I've had for quite a while as well. Is one of the first games that I got kind of that were a little bit deeper than, traditional Jenga and Uno and stuff. So Men at Work is really great. Played a card game that I think looks a lot like Uno, but is much, much better than Uno in my opinion. This one's called Push. And it's a push your luck game. You flip over cards, trying to make yourself a really good pile and leave bad piles for the other players around you. But if you bust, then you have to roll this die and might lose all of your points of a given color. Played this one a lot too, Devin.
This one was so easy to learn. I appreciate that about it.
I do wish I liked it a bit more when I first got it. I still like it now, but I feel like there's a bit of just like sitting there waiting when it's not your turn. Where you have to be okay with this game is like you're not in control of very much. Because like on my turn, I can purposely make a super bad pile and just throw that bad pile at you, and you have to roll the bust die, So I can force you to lose a lot of points. You just have to be okay with that in this game. Because if you're not, I think you'll have a bad experience, but it's fun. That is a Push. Really great card game. If you, just like gambling just a little bit. This next one is one I just recently got. Really like it. It's called Trio. This, Devin, is the one where you have to make sets of 3 and have to try to remember what is in the other player's hands. I really like this one.
This one opens your eyes to who is
good,
really smart in the room.
It does. Yeah, if you're playing with 2 different like ranges of people, someone that's really good at remembering things and someone that's not, they'll crush you. Because they'll just remember, like, I know exactly what your low and your high is, and what your low and your high is, and your low and your high is, and you're just trying to remember, like, anything, So it does take a bit to get used to in that way. But it's a fun vibe.
Probably my favorite of these 5-6 games.
Oh, was it?
Even though I was terrible at it.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely unique, I feel like. Because I don't usually like memory as a board game mechanic, but it's pretty fun in this quick card game because it plays in like 5-10 minutes. And if you're able to pull off like some cool sneaky bluffing and stealing some sets from someone else, like, feels good. It's a good one. Was that all of them, Deb? Or we played one more? I think we also played Deducto. In this card game, you have some cards in your hand, and one of them will be facing out, so you can't see it. And that card is like your prime suspect that you're looking for. And every card has 3 things on it: an animal, like a bit of disguise, it might be sunglasses or a bandana, and then a background. And on your turn, you play a card out in front of you, and then the other players will either say yes or no to let you know if that card has something in common with the card you're trying to figure out. And so by kind of combining those yeses and nos, you're trying to figure out what your prime suspect is. And if you figure it out first by making a guess on your turn, then you win. Devin won this one.
I mean, yeah, I barely.
It was
my complaint with this game is it's just like Clue. Everyone moves basically at the same pace unless there's some deeper mechanics we're not understanding.
I think there might be, but you're right. We were all like right about there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But it's fun enough. Cute game. Funny.
Yeah. Again, $10 card game, and I think you could get some pretty good mileage out of this one for $10. So that's Deducto. We played a lot that night, Devin. Look at us.
Look at us go.
Yeah. Cool. Next up is what we are excited about. As far as video games are concerned, I'm just excited to play Ender Magnolia. I think it will be right up my alley.
Same. Did
Super
we get
David
that
game.
on PlayStation?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yep.
So I can play that.
You can. So we'll hopefully be able to talk about that one a little bit more. I was thinking it might be kind of fun if there is ever like a game we're playing at the same time. To maybe do like a 20-30 minute like side episode that we can put up on the Patreon that's just like just us talking about that one game. I don't know when it makes sense. So maybe this could be one of those, but we'll see. Other than that, next week, Tales of Iron comes out, which I am pretty pumped about. I don't know if we even need to pull that up, but let's pull the gaming calendar up and just see if they're appreciate Open Critic for making this. But yeah, they don't even have some of those up here, so because they are small games that only David cares about. But other than that, we have Sniper Elite Resistance, which we just mentioned is coming to Game Pass on day one on the 30th. But on the 28th, Tales of Iron, and just today, Ender Magnolia. So if you like Metroidvania games, there's a couple bangers. Or if you're playing on the Switch, you can play Donkey Kong. All right, Devin, we're going to get into a few bits of news, but not yet, actually. First up, I guess, for board games that we're excited to play. We might play this tonight. We'll see. I'm going to let Devin pick what we do after we end the podcast, and it might be this, or it might be watch Arcane. We'll see what we do. But I am excited to play Marabunta. I did get it in the mail, like I mentioned last week. It's this fun little 2-player game. It's supposed to be excellent, where you roll some dice, split them into 2 groups, and then the other player gets to choose which grouping they want first. And then you'll put those dice out on this kind of shared board in your color, and you're trying to, it's area control, so you're trying to have the most of your little ant troops out there on the board. So excited to try that one out as well. And I'm getting a delivery of games tomorrow. So excited for some of those, including the expansion to Veil of Eternity. Will be here tomorrow. So I'll have to try that one out as well. All right, Devin. Now we're getting into the news. There's just a few items this week. Nothing too crazy except for this first one. We mentioned this last week that it was rumored that Nintendo was going to have kind of a teaser announcement for the Switch 2 the next day, and then have a Nintendo Direct in the coming months to talk about all the games. And they did. They had a 2-minute video teasing, well, not even teasing, showing what the Switch 2 looks like. Did you watch this, Devin?
I've not seen this, actually.
Oh, really? Okay, well, interesting. We'll kind of watch it here live then.
So they're breaking down the original?
Yeah,
and
to show the differences.
Morphing it into...
Yeah. The main differences here are they show it's bigger. It has a USB port on the top as well, which is kind of cool. The kickstand is bigger and wider. Looks like it folds back more too. In just a second, they go to the Joy-Con and show them get bigger as well, which I think is a good thing. They're like black with just the red and blue highlights kind of on them. And then they do show both of the controllers magnet into the sides of the Switch instead of sliding. Which
do they go over, or have they released any specifications for this?
They have not. No,
I'm so curious of resolution, screen type.
Exactly. This moment is very interesting, where they show it going like this, and there is like a sensor on the bottom.
Like they could be a mouse.
A lot of people, I think they might have even said it in the press release, are thinking there's going to be mouse support, and you can use a Joy-Con as a mouse. Which is very interesting.
On the Switch, can you download extra apps like Netflix, that type of thing, and just use it as a screen?
You can use Netflix, yeah.
Okay. If the screen's super good, it'd be cool. I like to watch movies in my bed. And it would be nice to have a slightly bigger screen. But if the screen's super clear and nice, we'll see.
Yeah. They only teased one game here, Devin. Which
is exciting. I have seen this.
This is Mario Kart 9. I've got to kill that noise. I do want to show you 1 second of Mario Kart 9 here because let's see if I can zoom in on.
Is it Donkey Kong?
Our boy Donkey Kong. Have you seen him?
I saw a glimpse of this, and I actually love it.
I know, he's so chonky.
I think the character design is better.
Yeah, he looks so funny. They also do what's the word? Confirm here that it's backwards compatible. Your cartridges will go in, and they do say some software won't work, but I imagine most will. So that was a kind of necessary. I do like seeing them next to each other like that. I'm going to pause it.
It's quite a bit bigger.
It is quite a bit bigger.
And less border around the screen as well, which makes the screen much bigger.
Yeah. But, so I don't know. That was cool that they did announce that. The Nintendo Direct is on April 2nd, where I'm sure they'll go over the specs and the price and that kind of thing. Because that's what everybody wants to know. How powerful is it, though? Mm-hmm. Right? There is a leak going around that some people say isn't true, but some people say is. I don't know. That this is the price of the thing. $3.99 in America. That's £3.99, $3.99. What are those called? Euros? I don't know what all those currencies are, but there's other currencies. And I think $400 that's kind of what I guessed last week, was it would be at least that much. So I think that makes sense. There's been a lot of inflation since March of 2017 when the first one came out. And hopefully they're aiming for just a bit more power, you know,
I would hope so.
Relative to the market, and can kind of make that $100 kind of justified.
It's such an exciting time when they come out with new consoles.
I know.
Whether it's Sony, Nintendo, Xbox even. Mm-hmm. It rarely happens, so when it does, it's like, ooh.
I agree.
New tech, new gaming tech.
Yeah, last week I said that I don't think I would need one for I might not even get one for a year after it comes out, but just seeing it here, I'm like, oh man, I want to pre-order that super bad. You know, they get you. But anyway, so that's the Switch 2 stuff. Not a lot other than I think it does look cool. I really hope that there are Hall effect sticks or sensors in those joysticks so that they can't get drift. I hope that the screen's at least 1080. It's gotta be. Because they can't do a 720 screen again. That's pretty brutal. And I just hope it's a pretty powerful device. Doesn't have to be a PS5, but, you know, if it's, I don't know, as strong as Steam Deck or a little more, maybe, that would be super. So I think it looks pretty cool. All right, next up, we got a few other bits here. I won't say too much about this, but there's and as you can see, I don't have a subscription to Bloomberg, so I can't read this full thing, but it's basically been all over the internet, so I know what it says. But PlayStation had a bit of a week here where, because of some reporting from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, we know that they have canceled at least 2 more games. They, a few years ago, said that they were doing a big push into live service games similar to games like Fortnite or Rocket League that, you know, might even be free to play and have a lot continuous updates, and you're hoping people do tons of microtransactions for your currency, or for your revenue, excuse me. And they said they were working on 12 of them, which is a lot. Since then, they canceled The Last of Us Part 2's online game, which was going to be one of them. They also killed Concord after a week. There are rumors that they've canceled a Spider-Man 2 live service game, and really the only success they've had here was Helldivers 2, and it seems like they didn't even think it was going to be a success because they didn't do much marketing for it. Famously, the DualSense for Helldivers 2 came out 9 months after the game came out, where Concord's DualSense launched with the game, so it seemed like they thought Concord was going to be a hit, didn't think Helldivers was going to be. But the news today is that Bluepoint, who is one of the studios that Sony owns, who is great at remaking games. They remade Shadow of the Colossus and also remade Demon's Souls. And that's an excellent remake.
Yeah, super fun game. That spider boss was cheap. I'll die on this hill.
That is kind of true, yeah. I think I think most people were hoping that Bluepoint was making either another excellent remake or remake of Bloodborne.
Please.
Or, some new project in that vein, since they had just made Demon's Souls. But nope. In 2020, they had been helping Sony Santa Monica finish God of War Ragnarok, and then were put on a God of War live service game. But that is now.
I should be more excited about this, but I don't vibe with God of War near as much as everyone else.
Yeah. I don't vibe with live service as much as anybody else. So all of this is bad news to me. So that game's been canceled, which Blue Point isn't a very big team, so it's not like they could have 2 or 3 projects going at the same time, likely. So that basically means Blue Point is now starting probably almost from scratch on something new. So they're not going to have a game out for a long time. The other bummer is Sony Bend has a similar fate. Theirs is not announced what the game was, but they were working on a live service game. The last game they made was Days Gone. I think it came out in 2019. And so people were hoping that their next thing was going to be released pretty imminently. That's almost 6 years ago now. But since that's been canceled, again, opportunity costs here. By committing to this and then canceling it, they have lost a lot of time. And now that studio will not have a game ready for a long time either. The third one is a maybe. We're not sure if it truly has been canceled, and it wasn't one of Sony's teams working on it, so it's not as big of a deal. But Sony had a partnership with NCSoft to make an MMO based on Horizon, and it seems like NCSoft, I think, is going out of business or something, and so the Horizon MMO might also be canceled. But there was some reporting just today that that project might just be moved back to Sony, and it might not totally be off the table. This is a bummer for a lot of reasons, but mostly just most bummed about Blue Point, because that Shadow of the Colossus remake they did is super, super excellent, and same with the Demon Souls remake. And having like a team of their caliber, I feel like is really important for PlayStation. Like, man, remake so many of their older games. Like, remake, what's that series with the aliens? Resistance. Or, remake, I don't know, there's so many things they could do. Or if they wanted to make something new, like, hey, you know a lot about Demon Souls and that game now, like, make us something new that's kind of like that. Just do something. It's been interesting to see so many of these companies fail with live service games. And I'm excited that it seems like finally reading the room, and they're just going to go back to focusing on, single player games, but I don't know. It is a bummer that those two teams have lost so much time. So that was a big thing this week.
Live service seems the way to go, in my opinion. If you make a good enough game, I think in microtransactions, you can definitely get way more money per person over time.
You can. You're just you live or die by it, right? It's high risk, high reward. Because if it does take off, then hooray, and you can make a ton of money. But then they're also extremely expensive to support and upkeep. Where, like, with God of War Ragnarok, like, the game's made once, kind of, and it has, like, a little Valhalla expansion come out, but then it's done. They're not working on it anymore. And so they can move on to something else. But yeah, with, like, Fortnite or any of these Japanese ones whose names what's the one that, like, Wuthering Waves and... there's a big one that's
Genshin Impact.
Yeah, Genshin and things like that. I've read that it costs them like tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year just to upkeep them and have new content like all the time, because they have to have a new expansion come out or a new like season drop. And
so maybe that isn't the way to go. I don't know. It's hard.
You can make a lot, but only if it hits. Whereas,
and if it doesn't hit, you might not make anything.
Exactly. Like Sony paid $400-ish million on Concord. They bought that team.
And 800 people played it.
And 800 people played it. And then they just basically erased the game from existence. So they made $0 from that one. So again, high risk, high reward. So I don't know. Kind of a bummer. Mostly just bummed about Blue Point because they make such great stuff. But I don't know. Lots more could be said about that. It'll be interesting to see what games do release from PlayStation going forward and how many of those 12 live service games that they mentioned like 4 or 5 years ago are still being made. I imagine there's still a couple, but it does seem like they've canceled almost all of them. I mean, I think I rattled off 5 or 6 with The Last of Us and Concord and the Spider-Man 2 multiplayer game, and then these 2, maybe 3, that's like 6 or 7 already. And then Helldivers 2 has come out. So the only other one I think we know about is Fair Games, which they've announced probably a year ago, and it kind of looks like a Payday-like shooter, where you're like in squads, maybe robbing like banks or something like that. So we'll see how that one does. But anyways, that was kind of their bombshell of a week. In a David-focused news that is really not any news, somebody tweeted at, I think, the community manager or somebody that is working on Silksong, and said, I just need to know if this game is progressing or if the team's given up on the project, not expecting that this person would reply. And they did. They said, yes, the game is real, progressing, and will release. So there's the latest update. Hey, after absolutely no update for like a year and a half,
this is basically no update, but
it's something. Yeah.
it exists.
In case you didn't know, the game is real, and it will release in 2045. Just today, PlayStation announced that Ted Price is retiring. He started Insomniac Games 30 years ago, and I think Sony purchased them like 5 or 6 years ago, and what a great purchase it's been, because Insomniac just releases so many games compared to the rest of their teams. Like, I feel like since Naughty Dog released The Last of Us Part 2, and they've now canceled The Last of Us Online and are working on Intergalactic, I think Insomniac has released like Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and announced Wolverine. And I might even be missing something. Like they have, their headcount's big. I think they have like 500 or 600 employees. So they're working on 2, 3, 4 projects at a time. But yeah, they make some great games over there. So not really much else to say. This guy right here, where's Ted? Did they not have a picture of Ted on here? Oh wow, I'm very surprised. Yeah, Ted's retiring. These 3 guys here are kind of going to be co-leads. This guy's name is Ryan Schneider. And then we've got Jen Huang and Chad Dezern. So I'm guessing they're each leading like a different project or something. I do like Insomniac. I think they make cool stuff. Spider-Man 2, very good. A Rift Apart, Ratchet & Clank, very, very, very pretty and fun game. So just wanted to give that a little shout out. Then next up, this was a cool story. Balatro has now sold 5 million units. I saw Jeff Keighley tweet about this. He's the guy that hosts the Game Awards. And he said, I love seeing games have even more success after the Game Awards, because Balatro had sold 3.5 million copies on December 11th, which I think was like the day before the Game Awards. And then it was like nominated for like 5 categories and has sold 1.5 million more copies.
40% increase in like a month.
And it's a $15 game. It's also on Apple Arcade, and so he had to have made some money signing that deal with Apple. He's made a lot of money.
He's doing well.
Yeah, I bet he's a $15 game. He might make $10 or $8 or $5 per game. I don't even know, but I'd love to make $5 5 million times.
That'd be very nice.
So good for him. The game is excellent. Love it, love it. So I just wanted to give that a shout out. Thought it was a cool story. Is that all the video game news, Devin? Oh, there's one more in movie and TV show news. We talked about Netflix earlier, and this is this is what happens when you get to 300 million subscribers. Well, I don't think that's the reason, but Netflix, they put out so much content, spend a lot of money. They are the biggest streaming service, but they raise their prices so freaking often. And they're raising them again. On the lowest tier, it's going up $1 from $7 to $8. That's the ad support. You have to have ads. Then the standard tier doesn't give you 4K, just up to HD. And that one's going up $1.50 from $15.50 to $18. Scratch that. That's $2.50. I can math. And then the premium tier is the one that gives you 4K. And that one is also going up, not $2.50. It's going up $2 from $23 to $25. So just a heads up there on your Netflix account. I think it said that would be your first billing cycle after this year. Or not after this year, of this year, 2025. So check out or watch out for that, I guess is the right term. And it's just the other reason I can't keep Netflix. It's expensive, man.
It's hard, but I understand it, but it's also annoying. Like 4K has been the standard for good image quality for a while now.
Yeah.
But you're going to charge extra to have the normal standard image quality, which is weird. And then I understand the ads. Every platform has to make money off ads nowadays, and it's just, it is what it is. And I think about it like $300 a year. If you go back to Redbox days and Blockbuster days, and you have so much access to so many things for only $300 a year.
It is true. It's a lot of
if
content.
You're going to use it, you're getting quite a bit of value out of it.
It's true.
But another issue is you've also got Prime, Paramount, Peacock, Hulu, Max.
Exactly.
And then you're $3,000 a year.
Yep. I saw a tweet the other day that was like, in the mid 2000s, we were so excited to get away from cable so that we could just pay for what we wanted and get rid of commercials. Now we're paying more than cable for just a few streaming platforms, and they've all introduced commercials because they all have ad tiers now. So it's kind of funny. But
would you prefer? That's a dumb question. I was going to say, would you prefer ads be personalized to you? Like they kind of know what you're interested in, and like, what if you were getting ads for board games all the time? Would you hate ads so bad? I don't mind ads. A lot of people I'm around, they're always complaining when the ads come on.
Mm-hmm. I don't hate them either. Like, I don't pay for YouTube Premium, so I get ads on YouTube, and I'm on YouTube often. And so I don't hate them necessarily either, but it does feel like more than anything, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part. I think it's pretty rare for people in a hobby they really love and know a lot about. If I was going to get an ad for a board game, the ad would probably be for a game I don't want, just because it'd probably be like Catan, or it would be, I don't know, Parks or Ticket to Ride or Wingspan.
It would be the surface level of that passion.
And not even that. It would just be the games that are most successful are the ones that can pay for ads. So I don't think I would get an ad for like Marabunta, that we just talked about, or Kelp or something like that. I think that would be less common. So I don't know. I don't like companies knowing about having my data and knowing too much about me sometimes. At the same time, I don't know. I feel like they already do anyway, so I guess what do I care? I don't really feel too differently about ads if they are personalized or not. I'm like, this is a dumb car ad or this is a dumb ad for Call of Duty. I'm like, I don't know. Still dumb.
Yeah. We just need ads to happen slightly less often, not be so...
I wish that there was a way to do it that wasn't intrusive to what you were trying to do. Like, I'm trying to watch a movie or trying to watch a YouTube video. Do we have to turn that thing off for 2 minutes?
Twitch has done well with that. You can still watch a stream on Twitch and watch the ads. It just mutes your stream during the ads.
Right.
So you lose some audio, but you kind of get a little piece of both.
Yeah, that is hard because I wouldn't want like a movie muted, right? But
correct.
Yeah, I don't know what the perfect solution is there, because these companies want to make money through, Nintendo paying them $1 million to put Switch 2 ads on their platform. But
something I thought was cool on some of the platforms, when you pause a movie, an ad pops up, and it's not a video; it's an image with a price and a link.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but that probably doesn't do enough for them.
Probably, not enough, because it's not everyone that watches that would pause it.
Correct, yeah.
I've seen those too, and I definitely hate those less.
I hate those less.
Yeah. I just feel like all of marketing is a scam, and everyone's just trying to steal your money all the time.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard balance. Money's important,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these are businesses. So I get why they're, after the pursuit of money. But it would be nice if there was just like some billionaire who could be like, here's my streaming service, costs $10 a month. I'm not doing this to make a profit. Like, it's a not for profit.
We should do an ad refund program. It happens at the same time as tax season, and they calculate how many minutes of ads you had to watch throughout the year, and then they give you a little money.
The government?
Someone.
Netflix can give us the money. Yeah, I don't know. But there's some new pricing for Netflix, so check that out. All right, in board game news, just two little things I wanted to mention. We don't cover every single game announcement because we'd be here all day, every day. But there are two games that I thought were worth at least mentioning. Parks, which I just mentioned a minute ago. It's one of the kind of more popular games nowadays. I would say, like, after you've played Wingspan, a common place people jump is to a game like Parks. It's like based on the national parks, and it's a pretty simple game. It's getting a second edition, has a different artwork, still very pretty. I really like games from Keymaster. They do excellent kind of production and components and pieces. So just wanted to give that a shout out. There's two versions. You can get like the fancy version with deluxe components or the base version. I don't know when it comes out. It looks like shipping April 2025. And then there is also one other game that I thought would be worth mentioning. One of the more popular and successful board games of the last 20 years is Pandemic from Matt Leacock. It's a cooperative game where you are trying to stop a pandemic from happening. And that system has been used in like 50 games, like different versions of Pandemic mostly. But it's being redesigned by the same guy, Matt Leacock, into a Lord of the Rings version called Fate of the Fellowship. And there's not much really known about it other than this cover image. And I love that cover image.
I was going to say, I want it just for the aesthetic.
Yeah, I love the image. There are, I guess, some pieces here too. When you play in the game, you play as two characters. It looks like they're on one meeple, which is kind of fun. And then you're all moving around trying to, actually some of them aren't on one meeple, so I don't know. But it said it uses the pandemic system, so I'm imagining you're moving around trying to stop Sauron's forces together. It's a cooperative game. Not a game I would get, but I really do like that box. So
we can just get the box.
Oh yeah, I'll just get the box. That's all I want. All right, so those were two new board games that were just announced, and I just wanted to give them a tiny little shout out here on the show. All right. Next segment is Crowdfunding Corner, so we'll hop into that with my normal kind of intro here. Let me make sure we're on our screens and not on my face. Yeah, that would be funny. All right, Devin, welcome to Crowdfunding Corner for the week of, what is today? January 22nd, 2025. There's 4 games in crowdfunding right now that I wanted to just cover on this episode. The new year is just kind of getting started, so there's not a lot of games in crowdfunding right now. There are some, but not a ton. But the 4 that I wanted to go over, we'll go over now. This first one is called Everdell Silverfrost. And this game is in the Everdell world, but it's, what do they call it? The Everdell Near and Far? No, Edge of the Map series. Games that are not like a Everdell or an Everdell expansion or an Everdell miniature. They're kind of like, I don't know, halfway sequels-ish. This one says that it is a slightly more complicated version, different map, different artist. I really like the art, actually, but it plays somewhat similarly, where you're playing animals out and playing cards into kind of this city tableau, and then you're putting workers out in different spots. There are just some requirements in this version that are not in the normal Everdell game, where if you want to put one of your workers out on a location with snow, then you have to spend one of your where are they? Fire tokens, which look very cool in this deluxe version here. And there are cards you can play, and if you have a fire token, you can like spend one of your chimneys in order to build a building instead of paying the normal cost. One thing that Everdell did was they had this big 3D cardboard tree that would hold some of the cards. They've done the same thing here with this 3D mountain, and it holds, I think, the 4 objective cards on these little slots. We'll show it down below in just a second. But yeah, that is pretty much it. It's a slightly more complicated version of Everdell. Cool art, cool pieces, in kind of a different environment. I really like Everdell, but I didn't love it as much as some people do. Some people really love Everdell. I think it's like number 20 something on Board Game Geek's top games of all time. I actually sold it because I think there are better worker placement games and better, they call it tableau building, when you're like building your own little area of cards. I think there are better games at both of those things, even though Everdell is excellent and pretty. But if you love Everdell, this is a pretty well-priced and run campaign here. You can get basically all of the Everdell stuff here. They have a ton past games. My neighbor actually has this one, the Everdell Complete Collection, and it comes in this huge box with like every expansion and like everything all inside of it. So you can get all kinds of goodies there. So that is Everdell. What did we say it was called? Silver Frost, I think. Can't find my cursor, so we're just going to scroll like that. Yeah, Silver Frost. That one ends on January 30th on Kickstarter. Okay, next up, this company, Eagle Gryphon Games. They make quite a few very large, very complex games. And these games come in big boxes, like they're huge. The games are about $125 each, just as like a point of comparison. One of those games is called Rococo, and it has like a different intro to the title, I think. And it's, I think, about building, like designing dresses. I haven't played Rococo, so I might be slightly wrong there. They wanted to make a version of that game that was slightly less expensive. So the same designers have made this one, La Patisseria Rococo. Instead of designing dresses, you were making pastries and cookies and stuff. And instead of being in a huge $125 box, it's in a much more like normal board game size box for $45, I think, is kind of the shtick here. It's supposed to be an excellent Euro game. Plays in 1 to 2.5 hours, it looks like, depending on the number of players for ages 14 plus. So this is not a light or simple game, but you're doing quite a few things, getting, what are these called? Ingredients for your recipes. You can get new recipes, hire workers, fire workers in order to get some money back, and then use all of those in different ways in order to be the most prestigious pastry chef. So, yeah, instead of Rococo Deluxe is $120, this one is $45 and will be $65, they say, when it hits retail. So on Kickstarter, you can get it for $20 discount, and I wanted to see what shipping was like. I feel like it wasn't too bad. I think it was $10 in America. Yeah, $10. So $45, $55 for one copy. So yeah, that is, I don't know how to pronounce this French word, but La Patisseria Rococo from Eagle Gryphon Games. Also, nope, not the 30th. This is 31st, so next Friday is the last day for this Kickstarter. Okay, halfway done already. 2 more. This is a really cool project. I don't know if they do this every year, because I'm some years in the past I haven't been that keyed into Kickstarter, but 25th Century Games, they make really excellent games. I have probably 3 or 4 of their games, and they make cool ones. This campaign, though, is for games that they have found what sounds like from other countries They said bringing games from around the world to your tables. And then they are bringing them to America. Or, I guess, you could probably back this campaign even not in America, but they're bringing them to other places of the world. There's a lot of games listed here. Some of them are small, like trick-taking games. One of them is like a new version of Liar's Dice, which has been around forever. There are a couple games that I just want to highlight in here that I think look really cool. This one on the top right is called, let me find the name, The First Czar. It's supposed to be a pretty complex game from, I think, the same designer as, what game did they say? At the end of every game, like synopsis, they put like why we chose it section here. Oh yeah, so this designer designed Nova Roma, which was a pretty popular game, I think, last year. And it's supposed to be a kind of weight heavy, complex game. I think that one looks cool. The other ones that I think look cool, scrolling back up to the top here, again, for every game they have like a why we chose it section. And let's see, we'll go over those in just a second. Well, let's do it here. So you get that game $40 instead of $50. And you get this cool wood upgrade pack. I think a lot of these look cool. Yellow House looks like a pretty cool card drafting game. The Battle of Versailles is supposed to be excellent. It's about like a fashion show. But some people say it plays kind of like a war game, which is kind of odd. I think this one looks cool as well. This is the one I'm most interested in, though, is Neko Syndicate. And for $20, it's hard for me to not want to back it, even though I'm trying really hard not to spend money this year. I just want to double click on that one really quick. We'll do that after we look at the rest, though. You got Liar's Dice, Take a Seat, Wolf Days, and Cat Days. Or if you want everything, you can get like all, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. But Neko Syndicate, the reason I am most intrigued by this one, 30 minutes to play and designed by my boy Danny Garcia, who we've talked about a few times in the past few weeks. We just talked about, what's that game? Daitoshi and Arborea last week. And so I'm very intrigued by that one here. They say why we chose it. Big, crunchy game in a small-sized box. Clever route building meets engine building meets pick up and deliver simultaneous play, which is also very cool to help a game go by quicker, where you're not waiting for everyone else to take their turns. Keeps the action moving too. Danny Garcia killed it with this one. I've never heard of it, though, so I don't know if it's brand new or if it's one that came out a few years ago that they're bringing back. That's the one for me that is most intriguing, but some of the other ones also look very cool. And shipping here, very cool. To the US or China, $10, and that is no matter how many games you get. You could get the 11 game package and it's still $10. So very, very, very cool. You can get the shipping under $1 a game that way, if you wanted all 11. But I thought that was a pretty cool campaign. Lots of different games there as I scroll back up and make myself dizzy getting back to the top. But that's the 25th Century Games 2025 Import Collection. There might be something there in those 11 games that could be of interest to you. All right. And last up this week, Devin, is a game called Lost Lumina from Dronda Games. And they're pretty quickly becoming like a publisher that I always look at their games when I hear about them. I have, what's that one called? Oh yeah, Isle of Trains, All Aboard. Really, really enjoy that. And I want to get Explorers of Navoria, but I don't have that one yet. This one looks interesting. It's a 2-player card game where you're both playing as like different factions, I think, trying to control this forest. So it's a little bit head-to-head and even slightly mean. But one thing I really like, they price their games really low. Like this game's $24, and the shipping in America is $6. So you can get the game for $30, or you can get a slightly nicer version that has a where is it? Has a playmat for 33 plus 6, so for 39. I do like a good playmat, so kind of fun that way. It also plays in a very short time. I think it's a 20-minute game, if I remember correctly. Where is the part I want to see? How to play. Let's click on you. Oh, I swear it was going to show me. Well, let's look at this real quick. So you draft cards until I think you have like 12, and then you use them to put workers out on the map. And then if you ever move them into an area with the other players, then you have a fight, and you both play a card down to determine like how much strength that fight will have, and then you roll dice based number of workers you have is how many dice you get to roll, and you get to add the one highest die to your strength. So you could get really lucky with one die and just roll a 6, or if you have 3 dice, you obviously have much better odds at getting a high number. I like that. It kind of reminds me of Andromeda's Edge and how they handled the battling. So seems like it could be a fun kind of in-your-face area control 2-player game. I do think it said it was like a 20-minute play, but now for some reason I can't. Oh, I swear I just saw it. Can't find that on the box. Here it is. 2 players, 20 minutes, ages 10 plus. So can't be too complex of a game if it's gonna only lasts about 20 minutes, but looks kind of cool. I like Dronda games quite a bit. All right, Devin, those are our 4 games this week. Not a ton. We haven't done a crowdfunding corner in a minute.
It has been a minute, yeah.
I'm about to throw so much pressure on you, it's not even funny, but what is your pick of the week for this week, which will be January 24th, 2025 when it goes live?
You are looking at it.
Oh,
Lost Lumina for me, because short and sweet, and there's frogs with hats.
Oh, I want to see this frog with a hat. Oh, there he is.
And there's one up above.
Was there?
Yep, see him? You're on him right now.
Oh, yeah, he's like a red frog. I was looking for green. Nice.
No, it seems fun to me.
Yeah, I do like a good 2-player game. I feel like I've played a lot of good ones lately. That's what Marabunta is a 2-player game, and we played Kelp last week. Very unique 2-player game.
And even when we're going head-to-head, you and I are such chill people that it's just part of the game.
Yep.
And
I feel like in 2-player games, I'm a lot more okay with meanness.
Right. Yeah, when there's 3 or 4, you have to pick someone to be mean to, and they're like, you're targeting me.
Exactly. Whereas in a 2-player game, it's kind of like what do they call that? A zero-sum game where anything that's good for me is kind of by default bad for you.
Right.
So it doesn't feel as mean, even though it is. So I think that one does look cool as well. Looking back at these games, I think my pick is going to be the 25th Century Games Import Collection, which is kind of a mouthful. But when I was looking through those 11 games, I already mentioned that one, Neko Syndicate from Danny Garcia, I think would be the one that I got my eye on the most, but that Battle of Versailles looks really cool. There were a couple trick-taking games in there that also looked cool. So, just a unique campaign. I haven't seen another company do something like this. Sometimes you see, like, All Play will do, like, here's 4 games at a time, or Bite Wing Games does that sometimes too. But, like, this one's like, no, hold my board game bag. We're doing 11 games, and they're all from different countries. You know, they might not all be from different countries, but they're from all over the world, which I think is a very cool initiative. I hope that it gets a bit more traction. It's got, 800 backers-ish, but 8,000 would be cooler. So, anyways, that is my pick of the week. So, thanks so much for watching this week's Crowdfunding Corner. We'll see you next week for the next one. All right, Devin, that's the whole show.
That's the whole show.
Yeah, I think we're just going to cut it there. We might end by recording something, or maybe not. We're not 100% sure yet.
You might get extra content. We're just not going to tell you.
Yeah, so be surprised. Be very surprised. As always, please make sure to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/SuperGameBrothers. Helps us keep the lights on. That's where you can get the content a few days early. Or if we end up doing some of those kind of review discussions that are like a separate video that goes on Patreon, I imagine some of those we might just keep as permanent exclusive. They're like only on Patreon. I don't know. I think that's a good way to drive like engagement that way. But first of all, you just gotta have traffic. So that's kind of the first thing. I don't know. I'm just chatting. So I think that's going to do it here for episode number 43.
Crazy.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week for episode number 44. Until then, switching over to my face for the last 1 second. Have a good one, and adios.